I was in charge of 30 young children and just found myself panicking.
I went to the doctors. I was really tearful, depressed, really bad anxiety.
You feel like a failure, you feel like you're not doing your job properly.
It's a bit of a cliche, but I went into a shop to buy a pint of milk and I couldn't find my way out again.
I had a lot of anxiety.
I imagined that I was developing brain tumours and cancer and heart disease because I was under so much stress that these feelings manifested themselves in my mind.
I hadn't told anybody about how I was feeling. As I say, I didn't realise I was ill. And I left home one morning having planned my own suicide.
I had, I suppose what you call a breakdown really. I ended up taking an overdose.
I can remember being at home by myself, crying an awful lot, screaming, shouting, hitting myself.
Mental health problems can be made worse by a lack of awareness, understanding and support within the workplace.
We all have mental health. It's not something that's unusual or abnormal. It's something that is just a natural part of our health and well-being. So not talking about it, well, leads to all sorts of problems.
I think if you talk to people who've had mental health problems, what they really find the most upsetting is the avoidance of the issue. And for them, because of the place that they're in their own feelings and their own self-esteem and how they're managing, they kind of feel rejected and uncared for.
When I was working, the meetings we had were always, were about work. What, have you finished what you need to do? Have you done that? Have you met that person? Have you done all this? There wasn't a lot of time for, how you doing?
It is very hard to know how to speak to people about things, but it's important not to be embarrassed, I think, but somehow be able to show them a little bit of extra friendship, to open up a conversation with them. And you'll find very often people actually do want to talk.
If you are in doubt about approaching somebody, if you do it with an open mind and you do it without judging them and you just ask an open question and show that you actually care, that they really don't look very well or they're behaving in a way that you know is not the norm for them, then you're actually showing caring and compassion.
By law, employers have a legal responsibility to safeguard their employees' mental well-being as well as their physical health.
Employers can be and are held responsible for work-related stress or other mental health conditions that arise because of an employee's working conditions. It can fall under various types of legislation. It might be a claim under the health and safety legislation, discrimination, working time, or a claim for negligence, that an employer has been negligent in failing to protect their employee whilst in the workplace.
Managers can help to support the mental well-being of their staff by identifying and reducing likely triggers for stress, spotting the warning signs that someone is suffering from mental health problems, tackling the stigma around mental health by encouraging people to talk about it openly, creating a supportive working culture where people feel able to share their worries and concerns, promoting good work-life balance, and intervening quickly and effectively when people do develop mental health problems.
I do think there's a bit of a sea change in workplace culture, in that for some cultures it's okay to use the C word, which is compassion. And that's actually an open dialogue, whereas perhaps 10, 20 years ago, that would be reserved for particular organisations who were run on compassionate lines, and they made a big thing out of it, and it's almost a brand. But I think these days it's much more about understanding that we now operate in a very high pressure world, and that the workplace is now acknowledged, and there's research to show this, as one of the biggest stressors in people's lives.